It's been a day.
I bet that's what I've been scrambling like crazy.
Yep. Since 3 a.m.
All right, that will be. Okay. The Tuesday, February 10th, 2026 meeting here in the Arlington School District Board of Directors is called to order. Jackson, could we have you lead us in the pledge tonight?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Jackson. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Director Apple.
Here.
Director Boga. Here. Director Evans. Here. Director Honchar.
Here.
Director O'Brien. Here. Director Costar. Here. Director Schreiber.
Here.
Director Smith. Here. 8 members present.
Thank you. We will jump to public comment on agenda items. Does anybody have a comment or question about any agenda items today? Seeing none, we'll move on. Superintendent report, is there anything you'd like to share about this?
No, I'll push my superintendent's report to next week's meeting.
Sounds good. So the main event for tonight is our board opening. So as everybody knows, we had Director Zalewski have to resign from the position due to a work conflict, and we appreciate her service, and she's been a diligent member of the board for many years. We published that opening, we accepted her resignation, we published that opening, and we invited the public to submit letters of interest, and thankfully we had 3 members of the public do that. So tonight we're fortunate to have those 3 people here. We get a chance to engage and ask a couple of questions and have them share their opinions and their thoughts about serving on the board. I will quickly say that we are appreciative of the 3 of you being here. Our board works because of community members like you who want to serve and provide their time and help make the district a better place for the students. So thank you for your interest and your participation. The process is we'll interview each of you individually. We'll ask the other 2 folks to step out, just so it's a one-on-one with the board and the candidate. And we'll go alphabetically. Any questions about the process or procedure, or am I missing anything major?
No, they captured it all. Technically, once the person has been interviewed, if they would like to remain in the room for the remaining candidates, they can. The reason for putting the other people out is just so that they don't hear any other questions.
Okay. Any questions? If not, we can proceed alphabetically. Ms. Beard, you are first, so the other 2 candidates, if you wouldn't mind, I think Denise has a place for you to go that's a secure location. So, Ms. Beard, we have 3 questions that we're going to ask of all 3 members, or all 3 candidates. You can stand, you can seat, whatever you're. So. The first question, as a side note, we will have about 6 minutes. We're going to try to keep it within 6 minutes roughly. So, the first question is, why are you interested in serving on the school board?
I'm a parent of 2 students in the district, 6th and 2nd grade at Carnegie Elementary. Been an active community member for almost 2 years now, attending regularly school board meetings, superintendent forums, serving as the advocate for Carnegie Elementary parents, bringing issues and concerns forward, and working with the administration to help, ensure that their issues are being resolved. Serve as the Carnegie PTA member. I volunteer as much as I can. Throughout that process, I have become more aware of the critical and the day-to-day issues facing the district. And I've also become more informed on the governing process that we do follow here as a school board. that has helped me become from initially very reactive to very responsive and serving as an advocate for our district and promoting the great things that our district is doing, under Dr. Kreider's leadership. I have served in a governance and leadership role for over 20 years in my career, where I am regularly presented with problems that need to be solved. I need to ask the right questions, weigh the risks, and ensure that not just myself am making decisions, but the leaders above me have the right information to make informed decisions for my entire firm, my clients that we serve, everybody who is being, that's being targeted for that particular problem.
Thank you, Tina.
Oh, one more thing.
Okay.
Sorry. I am interested in serving on a school board because I am very motivated to ensure that I'm helping to continue building that trust between the community, the administration, the school board, the educators, the parents, and also continuing the good work that the district is doing to ensure that each of our students are receiving that educational continuity, that they're all being challenged to their capacity, that they need to be challenged at.
Thank you very much. Our second question is, what do you perceive to be the responsibilities of a school board?
So for the school board, I perceive that they need to have fiscal stewardship with the taxpayer money, that they serve in a governing capacity as opposed to the administration serving in the operations of day-to-day administration, that they review and approve policies and ensure that those policies are enacted and provide oversight and accountability against the policies. And finally, that they are responsible for hiring and evaluating the performance of the superintendent.
Thank you very much. The third question is, what do you believe are the most significant challenges facing public education overall today?
Overall today, I can speak to what our specific district is facing, but it is likely a challenge facing many school districts in that, throughout the country, there is a greater population of English language learners and special needs students that's growing at a greater pace within the school districts. And providing the support that all of the students need within a given district, especially our district being as small as it is and having a lower tax base to support the district and the students' needs, it can be quite a challenge. And so trying to ensure that we are providing the best student outcomes across that challenge can be a difficult thing. But I do see what the district is doing. Each year it's improving and they're facing it head-on. And I'd like to be part of that to ensure we're successful.
Thank you very much. Board members, any questions, any follow-up questions for our first candidate? If not, thank you so much.
Am I able to say?
Yeah, please, you may stay. Dr. Craig, thank you.
Well, you know what? Over here?
I think the needs will be thank you.
Yeah. Alright. Standing, sitting,
You may stand, you may sit, whatever you're most comfortable with.
I'll sit. There you go.
Whatever you're most comfortable with. No need to feel rigid.
Yeah.
We have 3 questions for you.
All right.
The first one is, why are you interested in serving on the school board?
Well, first, thank you for opening this opportunity up. I do appreciate it. I think it is great for the district to have this. So I have been interested in serving in this capacity for some time, and I've talked to Reese about it as well. And so I think this opportunity just kind of spoke to me. I have both a passion and a experience with serving in the community in various ways. And I think I really do find joy in being a part of decision making that affects the places where I live in a better way to make things better for the future. I have 3 kids in this district, so it definitely affects me for sure. I am also a Pennsylvania educator, so I've been in the role, so I'm a teacher right now, but I've been in the role of substitute, coach, club advisor, so I've seen sort of all the facets of that. And so really I'm just kind of here to, I don't have any preconceived agendas, I'm here to offer that perspective and give my thoughts to that. I do know what it's like to be a parent facing challenges. I know what it's like to be a teacher and have the decisions in that classroom, how they're affected by board member and administrative decisions and what that looks like. And so I also understand the gap that can be bridged between parents and teachers. So I think there's a lot that I can offer there in that capacity. And
Wonderful, thank you very much. The second question is, what do you perceive the responsibilities of a school board to be?
the responsibilities really lie in being a good steward first and foremost of the children that families entrust with, I take that seriously, they entrust us with educating their precious children. I take that seriously. Also good stewards of the finances for taxpayers. I think we really have to be diligent and have good debate when it comes to the things that are going to affect all parties involved, and really, be respectful of what is happening inside classrooms. So I do know that there are decisions that teachers have to then put forth, and I think, I'm not here to be a micromanager. I think I am here to want to understand things from a teacher perspective, from a family perspective, from a community perspective. I'm here for spirited discussions to come to the best decisions for all of those different aspects of the district. And, hopefully offer up a perspective that, maybe there are blind spots and maybe we can discuss things. I want to come in with things that will best benefit students logically, practically, and not do things because it's convenient or because it is trendy. So that's really what I look to in a board member, and hopefully can offer that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Our third question is, what do you believe are the most significant challenges facing public education as a whole today?
All right, what, 2 minutes?
Roughly, yes.
Yeah, I was hoping this question would come up because I think about this a lot and I take it very seriously. So I think there is both a micro and a macro to that question. When it comes to the district itself, I think we're looking at challenges facing, one, the post-pandemic effects on sort of that learning gap that's, really fighting to fix. So I'm an English 10 teacher. I know what it's like to look at data and analyze that. I know where those gaps exist and what we're fighting for there. And I think the budgetary issues, I know we are a smaller district. I think that's one of our best assets here, being a small school, getting that community involvement, but also it can be a challenge. Our boroughs don't exactly have the business districts to support, a great tax base, and so that's a challenge. I think in education overall, really a few things coming down in the future, one socially and two technologically. So I took an AI course at CMU this summer because I know that is going to be a beast to deal with. I think we should all take that very seriously, and I think the technology that is put in front of our students is going to affect them socially, but also, in the future, what are jobs going to look like for these students? How are we going to be on the forefront of dealing with that? I think the cell phone policy was such a good idea, such a good move. I know the state is moving towards that as well. So those are some big challenges. And I really think for a lot of public schools, it is oftentimes, this is coming from teacher me. We look at data, we look at the numbers, we really want to drive those state testing numbers. I understand the significance of that. But as a teacher, I'm also seeing that what's happening is that there is a lot of grade inflation that doesn't quite match up with students' abilities. And so I really think we ought to be preparing students for a future in that, and also for, them being productive members of society. So that's, again, I could go on, but those are some of the big things.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Board members, any follow-up questions for candidate number 2?
Oh, yeah.
Any follow-up questions?
Oh,
If not, thank you so much. We appreciate your time. And,
thank you. Mind me go to hang out then?
please, yes. Please. So Ms. Pelsack, wherever you're comfortable, seated, standing, closer up front, back there.
Work, so I'm fine.
Okay, sounds good. So we have 3 questions for you tonight, roughly 6 minutes in total.
Okay.
First question, why are you interested in serving on the school board?
Well, personally, I am an alumna of Burlington. My son is an alumni. My daughter is in the 10th grade here. Professionally, I teach at Parkway West CTC. I'm the healthcare instructions teacher, and I have the pleasure of teaching Burlington students for half the day, sitting in the same exact seat I sat in 20 years ago. So it's a really big full circle type of moment. So I can see firsthand the needs of the students, and I'm really dedicated to public education. I think that being on a school board is being accountable for your district and your community, and being someone who's trustworthy, and I look forward to contributing to that in a thoughtful way.
Thank you very much. Our second question for you tonight is, what do you perceive the responsibilities of a school board to be?
As I said, being an open, honest, clear communication. I think that having transparency is really important, and obviously school districts face always the same kind of issues: funding, budgeting, retention of teachers, open communication between the teachers and the school board, as well as the administrative staff, so just being someone there to support those decision-making skills.
Thank you. Last question is, what do you believe are the most significant challenges that public education as a whole faces today?
Again, funding, retention of teachers, teacher burnout is a big issue. I see a lot of teachers struggling in my school district, in where I work, and teachers that I network with. So making sure that they have all the things that they need to be able to successfully develop our students to go out into the workforce and be, functional members of society. I think that right there is making sure that student outcomes are on the forefront of all of our decision making, using evidence-based decision making to ensure that students are first.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So board members, any follow-up questions for candidate number 3? I want to thank all 3 of you for doing this. I know it may not have been easy. Before we proceed with deliberations and any nominations, I will say this. So if things go well, one of you will be appointed to the board here tonight, and 2 of you will not. But I would say we need as many people as we can get, thoughtful people bringing ideas, bringing perspective to the board. So no matter who wins or doesn't win, I think we win by having you here. And so if you will continue to engage with us, again, whether you're a board member tonight or not, continue to engage with us, bring the ideas, come to the superintendent forums, participate in committee meetings, and we'll be better off for your engagement. So thank you very much, all three of you.
I just want to say you are three excellent candidates. Thanks.
Thank you.
Well said, George. Yeah, well said, thank you. Any other questions from board members before we proceed with discussion or nominations? No? Okay. Proceed with discussions or nominations. The process is that we will need to have 5 votes for a candidate. If we don't, we'll continue to debate, and Tony said he'll buy pizza. We have to stay here late. But again, we have 3 fantastic candidates. So is anyone prepared to nominate a candidate, or any questions, anybody? That would be great.
Do I have to nominate first, or can I say why I nominate?
Whatever you want.
Okay. I was up for re-election this past year, and I ran with Tina here, so I got to know her a little bit during that process, and think her to be an excellent candidate for the board, and was really impressed by what she said. So I would nominate Tina here as the board member.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations?
No.
Are there any other nominations for candidates tonight?
Yes, I'd like to, I'd kind of like to, I don't know if it's possible to nominate both, so we can have a vote, or just do a vote. Is that possible, or can I nominate one?
You can nominate one, but then somebody else can nominate. You said you'd like to see all 3 candidates get.
Get nominated to vote for when we go to vote. So I'll nominate Stephanie Mannion.
Okay, thank you. We have 2 candidates nominated. Actually, you can nominate an additional one now if you would like. Or anybody else can.
I'll nominate one.
One, thank you very much. So all 3 have been nominated, congratulations. So the process now, Denise, we've got 3 nominations, 3 candidates. We'll do a roll call vote, and each member will select which candidate.
Jim, could I suggest a secret ballot?
No.
You could.
All public.
You can suggest that.
It makes the process a little challenging, but nonetheless, I would reiterate what some other board members have said here. I'm a non-voting member, but nonetheless, I greatly appreciate 3 candidates submitting their names. I think all 3 of them have individual qualities that are outstanding. And it does make a very difficult decision on the boards we have. Pretty much.
And
It's just that we had, in our elections, we had behind the secret ballot, and this is gonna be tough.
right, George, the irony is when we deal with personnel matters, we are able to keep that confidential. So
Yeah.
this feels uncomfortable to talk about the 3 of you publicly, but again, it's all positive.
Votes are always involved.
Votes are positive.
Honestly, though, I understand the motivation, but I do think that each one of these folks deserves to understand, who's voting for who. I would just say that I took notes, what each of you was taking, and honestly, great answers, and I think your hearts are all in the right place. So, as others have said, thank you very much for coming up.
So Denise, we're gonna proceed with a roll call vote, please.
So whenever I call your name, could you please give me the name that you are?
Go ahead. And you can only vote for one. Nominate 2.
Okay. Director Apple,
Tina here.
Director Boga,
Tina here.
Director Edens,
Tina here.
Director Bonchar,
Stephanie Mannion.
Director O'Brien,
Tina here.
Director Puskar,
Tina here.
Director Schreiber,
Tina here.
Director Smith.
Stephanie Mangan.
6 votes for Tina and 2 votes for Stephanie.
So, congratulations to Tina. I will reiterate what I said. We have a lot of opportunity to help shape this district, and both of you brought some very good points up tonight, and I hope both of you continue to engage with us. As Director Zaletsky showed us, sometimes work and life can get in the way of serving on the board, and who knows when one of the 8, now 9 of us are gonna have something that interrupts that, so I hope you stay engaged and continue to work with us, and we would appreciate your knowledge and your expertise moving forward, so thank you both.
Stephanie and Lauren, I hope that you will run the school board, both of you, please.
Thank you.
You have such,
Any other questions from board members on where, Dr. Craig?
No, so what we'll do is we'll do hand the oath of office, and the oath of office then will need to be notarized within 10 days prior to taking the board seat. And then also a statement of financial interest will also need to be submitted to the administrator as well.
Yeah. Thank you, Fred.
So Joe started to think Craig could get thank you, but thanks for coming. Your answers were very thoughtful.
Super fun.
I hope you continue to engage with us.
We all know this is not allowed to say anything. So, thank you. Thanks, Brittany. Hey, yeah, that's what it is. Thank you very much. Thank you, yeah. That means it's good.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Your son?
So your son's not right?
I think he was a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
So,
Chad,
credit.
1 year.
Sarah's a secret.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thanks so much for your time. Can you put yourself up here?
I will.
Very good. Probably cancel the road conditions.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's 7:07. You want me to go turn it down?
I think I'm just used to it.
So moving along in our board business tonight, we have a presentation on our district finances. So, Judy, you have something for us from your summer home.
You're on the clock.
I'm on the clock.
Hey Keith, is that the artist conception of Carnegie Elementary? With the golf course and pond
Yes.
included?
Yes. See the little home over to the left?
Woo!
See if I can do this. Did not change the title. I know this is not finance committee, but this is to be my day. But we were a little interrupted with other business. That's okay. I think this was more important. So tonight, haven't done this in a while, so. Okay. So as we dive deeply into our budget over the next few months, I thought that tonight would be a perfect opportunity, especially now that we have several new board members, to just take a step back, review exactly how the district accounts for our expenditures. So what this presentation is going to do is just going to give you a very high-level overview of how the school district finances are organized and reported to the state. And basically, the PDE chart of accounts, it's our Bible. It's not optional, we have to follow it. And it's important because it's what all Pennsylvania school districts follow at this time. Understanding the framework of how we budget and code our expenditures will help you better understand our treasurer's report, which I gave you a copy of right there in your packet, and also
the financial statements and audit information that you're gonna regularly review. So I think it's important to have that framework of understanding, what is a function, what is an object, and just get into those basics, because starting next month, once we start really getting into the budget, you're gonna have a better understanding, and that's the most important thing, is that we want you to understand what the budget is and what we're doing. So basically, my goal tonight is not to turn you into accounting, which if any of you do find that this is interesting, I can always use help. But basically giving you that context to try to be comfortable and understand the financial information that comes to you. So why do we use the chart of accounts? The chart of accounts ensures consistency across all PA school districts. It allows for comparison and accountability. And it's also a major component of all of the reporting that we do as far as the AFR, our Title, our Act 1 index calculation, our audits, federal and state reporting. So everything that is in our chart of accounts falls back into one of those areas. So that's why for all districts to be able to maintain and for the state to be able to properly fund schools, everybody is on the same ball. School districts accounting is we use the $1 concept. So every dollar the district spends is classified in multiple ways at the same time. So each account answers a different question about the same dollar. So what this does is allows us to report this spending accurately to multiple audiences, such as PDE, the auditors, and to the board. So when we look at these questions, there are 7 questions for every single dollar that we spend. So every single time that we spend any of our money, we're looking at where did the money come from? Why was it spent? What was its purpose? Or what was purpose? Was it restricted? What level of instruction? Where was the expenditure and who is the administrator in charge? Each one of them has a section on each of the accounts that we have. So it's a daunting thing. You have your fund, your function, your object, your funding source, your instructional organization, your operational unit, and our responsibility code. So this is what it looks like. So every single dollar that we spend, we have to assign this right here.
So, quick interruption. 2 slides ago at the very bottom, you put the object of this approach is clarity, not complexity.
Clarity. So basically, the clarity part, yes. We say that. That's what they want us to believe. That's why I should have brought that up. Yes, that is exactly what they want us to believe. But as we all know, everything changes day to day. The accounts change, the way they want us to count it. So yes,
Clarity is very important, but it is
complex.
But clarity with that, anybody who's trained to take a look at those budget numbers, for us, the Fund 10 is a general fund.
I'm going to challenge you guys.
Okay.
Here's the question. Here's the question. If any of you can tell me exactly what was this expenditure on, I will cut this down to under an hour.
Salary, right?
Okay, go ahead.
I'm new, so I don't count.
The director of finance is salary.
It is not. That's correct. You want to try it?
The numbers that I can see are one, I see the 411 funding source. Funding source 411 would represent Title I funding.
Right.
I see the instructional organization is a 10, which means that it's an elementary. The 21 indicates then that it is Carnegie Elementary School. 22 is Grafton, so 21 would be Carnegie. Going back to the 1190 would be instructional. And the 155 at the end, we, just for board's knowledge, we implemented the responsibility codes this year. Technically, as far as PD codes, you're allowed to leave those blank, a lot of them in 000.
We didn't have enough numbers.
Well, we put responsibility codes simply for
Amen.
simply for
Thank you.
Keith loved it when we put this into place. But that allows us to take a look at 155 is the federal programs coordinator, which would be Dr. Taylor in this particular case. So then everybody else has a responsibility code, so that when we go and sort things, then we can figure out whose area of responsibility is oversee what. How did I do?
You did very well.
121 is also,
121.
that's also instructional.
Instructional what?
Instructional supplies.
Wrong. So you guys split all that. So basically, 10 is, where's the money coming from? That's the general fund. The 1190 is correct, that is instructional. The 121 is how did we spend the money? It was on a salary.
See, I was close.
The funding source for 11 means that it is a restricted Title I, which to us and to you, when you have something in the funding source, that's when you have to worry about, is there guidelines or criteria that we have to maintain with that. The 10 is elementary, 21 is Carnegie, and 155 is the actual budget administrator for the federal programs coordinator. That's just one of, gosh, we have 400 accounts, 500 accounts that we maintain. And it is something that, I'll go through each of those really quickly so that you're not confused when you see this, because it's daunting, it really is. But once you get the concept of the basics and what you see on your reporting, it's at a much higher level than this. You won't see this much over here. The main thing that you're going to be concerned about is the fund, where the money comes from. So this is important to know that when Fund 10, what that is our general, as we call it, our big bucket. That's where all of the money comes in, and that is the money that is used on the general day-to-day operation. The Capital Projects Fund, Code 30, that is our capital reserve, soon to be our bond fund. These are very restricted. Money that goes into that money cannot be spent for anything but capital project programs. And then finally, the food service fund, same thing. Money goes into food service, has to be spent for food service. We can supplement it from, just like with 30 from the general fund. But the main one that you're going to be concerned with is the general day-to-day 10. The function, why the money was spent. So basically, what that is it classifies costs according to the program. So when you look at the function, what we're looking at is how is the money spent in a bigger, broader area. So when we go to the next slide, there are 5 different areas of functions that we use. As you see, the 1190 isn't on there, but that is a function of the 1000s, which is the instruction, which anything that's in the 1000 has anything to do with the direct teaching of the actual direct teaching and anything that affects the kids and the teaching of the kids. The 2000s are any support instruction that we have, anything that will go out and assist the instruction of the school. And then we have the facilities, non-instructional, 3000s are basically our athletics, our parent engagement account, and the 4000s capital projects, and then finally the 5000s are our other uses for debt service and transfers. So 5 basic accounts for funding, but there are multiple steps under it. And in the chart of accounts, it actually does go through and discusses every single one of them. So if you want to have a copy of the chart of accounts, which we all have on our desktops, you're more than welcome to have it. So that's basically the functions that we have here. The next one is our object, what was purchased. Object codes describe exactly what was the type of cost that was incurred. This is where salaries, benefits, services, and supplies are categorized. This here is where the majority of the coding and where a lot of the budgeting happens is in this, spending of the codes. I gave you a copy of one section of my budget, which on the first page, what it shows is this high level, 9 different levels of objects. But if you look at pages 2 and 3, those are all of the different subcategories of each of those high-level ones that we budget. So you can see it's pretty intense and pretty detailed on how far we go into budgeting and breaking down what we spend the money on. And it's really important for us to be able to do that so that we can focus where the spend is. If there's an issue where we need to up our spending in an area, or if we see an area that we're spending too much. So the object code, I would say, is probably the most important code that we deal with on a day-to-day basis in our office. So funding, the fund, the function, the object, that's the 3 issues that are the most important, the most that you will see on any of your reports that I give to you. The next one, which we briefly talked about, is our funding source. Is the money restricted? So basically all that does for us is basically lets us know, is it a federal program? Is it a grant? We have local grants, we have state grants, we have all kinds of different grants that are available. And each of those have a restriction on how can we spend it. And we have to take the money that is received for that and spend it on that. So very important for all of our reporting, for especially when it came time with the ESSERs, to make sure that we use this category so that we were able to keep track of what we were spending for each of those grants. And then the last 3, as we went through, and Dr. Kreider so graciously answered, the instructional organization basically segregates our expenditures by instructional level. The operational unit is our identifying it by building, and as you see, elementary is 10, secondary is 30. Each school district has a different coding method for their organizational unit. The state now requires us to use a 4-digit number, but we're not going to change all of our accounts. We know 21 is Carnegie, 21 is Craft, and 80 is junior, senior high. So, and then finally, our responsibility cards. Every budget account has somebody that is in charge of that budget. And they're responsible for the overseeing of it, the creation, administration of it, and basically building it and assisting me in getting this budget completed. So this is basically how we do it in a nutshell. It sounds like a lot, I did it quickly, but the chart of accounts that we use is the backbone of every financial report you'll see. You don't have to know the codes, but it's helpful to understand that the structure is what keeps our reporting consistent, compliant, and easy to use. It ensures we're comparing apples to apples, meeting state requirements, and presenting a clear financial picture. When you review the budgets, financials, or audit results, they're all coming from the same framework. So basically, this is what you're going to see, this is what you're going to live, this is what we live. And you're going to hear so much more about functions and objects in the next couple months. This is just the start. March, April, we are going to talk a lot. I know you guys love it so much. So I just wanted to really briefly just go through this just to give you guys an idea. And for the new board members, I opened you up before. I said anytime you need to go over something, want a better explanation, you want me to come in, or you come in, or I can meet somewhere, I'm more than willing to go through the budget. It's not a problem at all. So with that, as you see, this is where everything appears. You're going to see on budget reports, financial statements, AFR, summaries, and audit plans. So that's it.
I'm just looking at this.
So that time.
Let's look at this and remembering our long time Director of Finance for Fellows and Stuyvesant and Kirby Christie. And I know that since his time, significant modernization has occurred in your office. You know, I want to say, I do appreciate what you guys do because you're able to provide us with numbers in ways that we can look at it and help with our decisions. Rather than, well, you know, I remember getting the board packet back in those days, remember that, Jim? It was like this thick, every expenditure printed out, and, you know, as a new board member, I was like, do I keep this? And it got to the point in my office where I had a hat that I could walk in, and all the stuff was on, it was all.
That's it.
So, thanks for doing it.
No, I appreciate it. And honestly, that's the key, is the more simplistic it is, and the more levels, as we have with the levels, you know, the fund function object, anything after that object, that helps us, because we are able to categorize and look, I can look at just Carnegie's expenditures and say, this is what they're spending, and I can see, and we're getting to that point now with our administrators, you know, our principals and especially, they're able to look at their report and see, oh, hey, I don't have enough money here, but I have some money here. So they're learning how to do the budget transfers, which you will see on next week's board. But it's more of a buy-in now. And especially having the administrator codes, yes, that was tough. I had to go into each 500 of those accounts and make new accounts to add these codes on it. But it is now easier for anyone doing a budget. If I wanted to see mine, I just have to pull the report of all the 150s and all my accounts come up. So it makes it so much easier. So I do appreciate it. Any other questions, concerns? We're really going to get into this, so don't, if you're especially for the newer board members, don't panic when you see it. It's, you'll understand. I'm clear as mud. Clear, you know, every year. Okay.
Before you say, quick question to the board. So in my mind, his presentation design gave us context, it gave me context. Okay, this is like, this chart, it helps make it understandable and we can digest it. That's one level, but we don't generally deal with objects and funds, like we're not at that transactional level. So it's, to me, the more important presentation, I think, is next month, where you kind of show the graphical representation of stuff and you sort of paint the broader picture of what
We're
the
going to
budget
get to
looks
that,
like.
right, yeah. My goal right now is next month, we're going to really dig into the revenues, the state budget, and how it affects us. Looking at the fund balance, and anything that has to do with that side of the part, or the budget. And then I'm thinking that probably in April, we're going to spend a lot of time going over the expenditures and basically, like what you're saying, all of the different levels. We'll talk about PSERS, we'll talk about the charter schools. So we're going to have opportunities over the next 2 months of really digging deep. And what I plan on doing is, you don't need to know, or you need to get into the nuts and bolts of everything. I want to get to that point where it's high level, you understand, you know, where we're at. And as you know, I like going back 5 years, looking at the history of it, and also moving forward. So that's going to be a very, very big part, especially because of, you know, we have the new bond issue that we just resolved finally after all these years, or 3 months. And then, you know, we have a teacher's contract coming up. So there's a lot of moving parts right now in this budget. So it's going to be really important that you're comfortable with what we as administration puts together, and then we can all come together and get a good budget. So we still have a lot of time. Currently, you know, administrators have been working on their budgets, so we're moving at a good pace right now. I have the salary and benefits budget done, which that's 70% of the budget itself. So I'm pretty comfortable where we are. And if I can get all that data done, then that allows us time to really dig into those big issues and those open areas that we need to discuss.
Very quick.
I was going to wait until old business, but since you mentioned, so the bond issue has been made.
Right.
Are you planning on giving us kind of a more detailed report next week?
Yes.
Okay, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
But
We'll
from what I
probably-
understand, things went really well.
It went very, very well. Now, I can give you, I can't remember it. It was on the weekend review, but there was a lot of response to the bonds. I mean, for a bond issue, you know, for our size, for the amount of investors that wanted into our bond was amazing. And it allowed PNC to pick and choose the best. And we actually, when we looked at it, when we looked from when we went out, or we were supposed to go out last May, to what we went out this month, the overall, after the 30 years of the bond issue, this bond is saving us almost $900,000, almost $1 million of savings, just by holding off on our construction and waiting for the bond to settle down. So it was a great bond issue.
Yeah, so we were fortunate,
Very fortunate.
even though the timing wasn't what we wanted, but it's also a reflection of the solid credit rating.
Yeah, that's 100%, and that's, you know, a compliment to the board for, you know, keeping the finances and making sure that you're keeping us, you know, fiscally sound, so that it was really pretty easy to talk with Sanders and Cory and discuss our budget and, you know, where we were going, and it really did help.
Thanks, I look forward to next.
Okay, yep. Any other questions?
One last quick point before you go. For the new board members, budget cycling. So our year is July to June. We have to have a July 1st budget passed in June. We have to review it publicly in May. So he's building next year's budget.
30 days.
So it's 30 days. He's building next year's budget like in January and February. On the revenue side, we get 2/3 of our money from the state, roughly.
Limit on that.
Not that.
Or from local, sorry,
Right, local,
2/3 local,
yes.
1/3 state, and like almost
Oh,
a
right,
percent or two from federal.
Right there.
So the state monies, their budget is passed, supposedly passed at the same time as ours, but a couple of years it hasn't happened. So he's got to put a budget together with state monies that we're not sure about. On the local side, the 2/3, our local revenues are based on tax receipts. And they fluctuate based on the economy, based on people's filing and submitting them. So he's got, and we have to then take some educated guesses based on what's happening each year. So this is a highly precise and highly imprecise, it's a science, it's an art, it's a science, but we have to take our best guess with all of these things that we don't know, so.
That's always been the challenge that we have, that, you know, we have to have our budget done in June, but the state, as we see, they don't have to. They do it whenever they want to do it. It's tough, but, you know, we have a lot of support amongst all the school districts. You know, our Hasbro organization is very in tune with the budget in Harrisburg, so we get good information from them. So it has helped, and, you know, knock on wood, we've been pretty close every year.
One quick request for the presentations for the next couple of months, if you can list all of your assumptions, especially for the new board members to be able to see what you're thinking. It's like, hey, we're going to assume a local tax collection rate of X. We're going to assume a state income level of Y, and just kind of throw all that stuff in so that they can kind of digest and understand what
And
you're.
that's why I figured this year, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to talk more for those of you that love listening to me. But yes, I think that it will be a good refresher to a lot to see, you know, how we are thinking.
Appreciate all you do. Moving on to old business, we have an electrical vehicle charging station item on our agenda. Do you want to introduce it?
Yeah, so a few months ago, maybe last year, we talked about Grafton Borough potentially getting a grant for electrical vehicle chargers that would be able to be installed on district property down in Grafton in our parking lot that is actually sits within the boundaries of the city of Pittsburgh. That grant, from what we understand, has come to fruition now that there is money available for us to install EV chargers. There's basically two types of models out there, one where we can install 2 of those EV chargers, or we can install to 4 of those. Impact naturally would be on how many parking spaces that they would consume. If we go with 2, most likely have to take up 2 spots. One of those would have to be ADA compatible. And I know that the board had discussed this a little bit last year when it came up. Some of our concerns were about long-term maintenance of the EV chargers. Is there electric supply running out to that? Is there a dedicated line? What type of EV chargers would put in as far as being able to charge people? We're not going to give electricity away for free. So we requested some additional information from Grafton just to get us a little bit more intel on what the grant includes at this point. We haven't been able to get a nice package to share out with the board. However, from what Grafton has informed us is that they're looking for a decision within 2 weeks just based on the grant timeline. So from what I'm hoping for is that by next Tuesday, we do have more information that we could at least put a board motion on the agenda to consider it. I think it would require some deliberation to talk about it. If we plan to move forward with it, vote on it, I think that would be our direction at that point. So that piece makes it a little bit challenging to say, let's talk about this now, because we don't have a whole lot of information to talk about, and there is a pretty short timeline on this too, that we need to be conscientious that we're thinking through everything that we do so that it's not one of those no good deed goes unpunished kind of thing. We want to make sure we're doing the right thing and not setting ourselves up for an issue.
So we can encourage them to give us the information
Yes.
we need?
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't be willing to vote on anything without
You can't.
seeing.
But I would
the
advise you to
details.
agree.
That's kind of-
Agreed, yeah.
Yeah, what sort of questions do we have? For the weekend days. I mean, my first thought is, remember when they paved that street, within a week, we had torn it up to put sewer lines in. So, it was like beautiful for a week. I would hate to see the same thing happen to our parking lot, where they dig it up to put some power lines in because it's the most convenient place to do it. I mean, I'd like to see that surface remain intact. Yeah, because then, you start, like in the street, you start getting gaps because the water gets in there.
I mean, I think the maintenance piece is important, like who's maintaining this if something is broken, if something, I mean, that's a public parking lot, the kids are in there on weekends. So who's doing those kinds of things?
Who's responsible for the electricity?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, you gotta consider that too, because you have to pay utility for the meter.
Correct.
If it's on the district property, you probably would have to pay for the meter.
Right. My recollection from our last conversation a year ago was we were broadly, and correct me if I'm wrong, we were broadly receptive to the concept. We did not have an interest in giving away free electricity, so we would meter any electricity that would be used. We wanted to make sure the equipment had a long warranty, and whatever we could get paid for up front, a service agreement, whatever, we would want to bundle it in up front because the grant is paying for all of it. We want to understand what our maintenance requirements are, maintenance of equipment, commitments are. There's one other thing. My personal opinion is that given the duration of the parking lot, a level 2 charger, which is a slower, you know, so a level 2 with trickle charges all day long makes the most sense. It's the least infrastructure cost. It's a smaller investment. We might be able to use our existing utility connection. We may not need to upgrade, but I don't know if we know that until we have an electrician.
Yeah, how does it work? Like, say at night somebody plugs their car in, and their teachers are coming to work the next morning. Somebody's counting on having their car parked there to charge it. Somebody from the neighborhood or a visitor or something like that is sitting. How do we deal with that?
We talked about that as a broad concept of, at some point, do we need to put signage up in our parking lot? So far, we haven't had that issue. We might invite that issue if we have to be charged. I don't know. it's gonna be metered, so it's not gonna be free.
Yeah, I was driving on the other day, the car sitting in the lot doing something, and it's like, whatever, it's,
Right.
you know, it's there, you know, I don't have anything against them charging the car there, but I
Well,
don't
we
want to
can bring-
make their parking lot less useful for car purposes.
Right.
There are a couple of different ways that EV chargers can be set up. They can be free, so the electricity is provided for free. You still, generally speaking, have to have a corresponding app on your phone to unlock the charger from the port itself to then be able to put it in your car. So then you're putting in your credit card information or whatever it may be, but you're not getting charged, and that is set by the owner of the charger. You can also have that set up where there's a charge for how much electricity you draw. And so that's by kilowatt hour or whatever it is that you draw. And then there are cases where you are charged per kilowatt hour, and then when your vehicle is done charging, you incur a charge for the time that you're plugged in that your vehicle is not charging. So something like that, if we could do that, would avoid someone parking there plugged in all day long.
Yeah. I mean, an electric vehicle for a couple of years, right? Have you seen, is that right? Am I right?
Yeah.
Have you seen it, like, a trend towards any certain kind of charger? Because I, you know, years ago, you'd see it, like, the, you know, Mark Fisher, John Eagle, and I assume those were very beginning. I don't know if that's still the case, but.
Yes, I'm reluctant to say this in a public meeting, but the garage at which I park has chargers that are sponsored by Duquesne Light, and so they are a loss leader for Duquesne Light, and so they are free. There's almost nowhere else that's free. But the Market District did have one, those are Tesla chargers, I think, so those are not, Tesla chargers cannot be plugged into just any car, they can only be plugged into a Tesla.
So I pay for my gasoline, for my pickup truck.
Yeah.
And somebody else gets free electricity from Duquesne Light, and who has raised my rates.
I do pay a
That is
regular,
not right or fair.
you
George,
can take that up with Duquesne Light?
Nothing's free.
That's for enlightening. 801.
No, that's what I just said. I got a good thing going. I will tell you that I do pay a fee every year to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to maintain the roads because I don't pay those gas bills.
And George, your point is that we don't want to do that same thing, we would want to charge for electricity. Right, so, but we can give Dr. Kreider the direction that we're broadly interested in. We have a handful of questions, some of which we don't even know what they are yet because we haven't seen any proposals, but perhaps if we get something in the next couple of days, we can send it out to the team. You can look at it, digest it, ask questions.
And Jim Price from Crafton Borough knows that this is in the city of Pittsburgh.
He does, yes, yes. And much like the subject we haven't brought up yet, but the borough has tried looking out for us several times. So they've applied for grants in several areas and thought of us and included us in this. So the streetscape thing that like Dr. Kreider shared the last couple of days.
It was in the posting that
It was on the TV, it was in the newspaper, yeah. Exactly. So that is something that the borough applied for, knowing that we had a need, and we jointly went in and applied for it. So the borough's been a great partner for the district. So.
Yeah, and just a quick update on that, it's $1.39 million that the Crafton Borough received through federal grant money. The grant award hasn't officially been released yet, so that paperwork is still forthcoming. The project does a little bit of two things. One, improves the street, about $750,000 that is going towards Crafton Borough, and then about $500,000 coming to Carleton School District. And in that piece, what we're looking to do is improve safety there on Crafton Boulevard, right in front of our elementary school, carving out a bus lane for our bus to pull off, so our kids can get on and off the buses a little more safely, and also clean up the aesthetics up in front of the building. So there's a 15% match on that grant. So all in, with everything taken into consideration, it's going to be somewhere between $80,000 and $100,000 from the district side of things. We'll have to budget for. Construction tentatively set to begin in the summer of 2027. So it's whether or not we include that in this year's budget, or if we're able to push it into the 27-28 budget. So those are things that we have to start to take a look at. And one of the pieces we'll have to figure out is who we look towards for the drawings and getting things together. Right now, it's in the conceptual phase. We'll need to move that through engineering and some other components to it. Generally, in the past, we've worked with Collective Draws. A lot of our drawings, they understand the needs at Grafton Elementary School, where they did some work with the front of the building, with the window project and so on. So they have some inherent knowledge to what the front of that building looks like and where some of our electrical parts are. And they also put together some drawings for the front of the building when we took a look at stamping the concrete and improving the entryway to the building as well. So a lot of pieces that we still need to figure out. We'll stay in contact with Grafton Borough on the development of that, but still a lot of work to go, but absolutely some real great news there that we found out this week.
Yeah, no, I love the dedicated bus lane. I mean, it's not just safe for the kids, you know, but also the sight lines, you know, you're driving down the street, you're gonna be so much better, so it's gonna be safe for everybody. But as we know very well, the opposite side of the street is owned by the city. Is there anything going to be done paving in there, or, you know?
I'm not sure how that one's working, because I know they had other streetscape projects where they narrowed some roads in some parts. And it is.
It's gonna be paved. I don't think the other side gets sidewalks. I think our side gets sidewalks. But the city Pittsburgh side is just, there's marks for parking spots are painted. I don't think there's any glorification or beautification stuff.
Wouldn't then the city of Pittsburgh have to join in the grant as well?
I believe so, yeah. So they're getting paved and they're getting a curb, but at least that's what the drawing shows.
Yeah.
There would be
It's
no
also-
Uber sidewalks on that side.
No.
It's tight.
It's hard to tell because, I mean, as good as it looks, all those pictures were a guy. And it's like, seriously, the buildings look nothing like our buildings, so it's kind of hard to picture that. So.
The spacing's not right on anything at
No,
all.
no, it's like, it looks like there's this vast area in front of it. I mean, there's a lot of space, but not that much. You know, in forest and paths and all that sort of stuff.
One quick caveat on the numbers that Dr. Kreger shared. They are budgetary based on what was submitted to the state. So the grant money is approved verbally and whatever, but the street stuff is relatively fixed. But the improvements that we do in front of the school might vary a little bit, so that number may go up or down a little bit. Our match is 15%, like you said, so the actual cost that we incur is TBD, but it's in roughly that range depending on where we end up in the final study. Cool. Any other old business for any, new business, any new business for any?
I have something I'd like to bring up. So I thought the process that we did tonight was really good. I enjoyed it. I thought that it was great for the community to have this application process, to apply, to interview. I thought we got really good candidates. I'd like to make sure that we continue to do this going forward. So I don't know what's the proper way to do that. If we should, you know, in the future look to adopting some sort of board policy, something like that. And if that is the case, how we go about doing that, because I'm new, so I don't know all the sort of ins and outs of it.
Good question. I don't know.
The policy, or we can check to see if PSBA actually has one.
So what we would do, we have, I think it's policy 006, which would be membership. And the board has the opportunity to write board operation guidelines, commonly referred to as BOGs. So the board could adopt then a BOG, very similar to what the administration does with the board policy, and then synthesizes it down to an administrative regulation. So the board has the opportunity to do the same thing with all the 000 policies, to write a BOG, and then that would more or less then provide guidance on, in the event that there is a vacancy of a board seat, here's our procedure, here's our process. The board would have the opportunity to narrow it down or keep it open, depending on the feelings of the board. Admin regs are generally written by administration, BOGs are generally have input from the board, but they're not administratively driven.
So that would be, you know, a board member would go and like research and write something up, bring that to the board, propose that, we would amend that, and adopt that. that in the process of where we would do a vote to ask the administration or the solicitor to look into writing something up. I'm just trying to get, I'm not sure exactly the nuance of it.
It would actually be something that would come from board leadership, as far as from the board president to direct that. I think any board member can make that request. Board president kind of decides on the direction of that, and then opens it up to the entire board for a vote.
Thank you.
Did I answer that right then?
So Reese, we should continue to talk about any policy change or any procedural change we want to talk about it as a group, and there's good and bad and complications, whatever else, but thank you for bringing it up. We should keep it on the front burner.
Okay, thank you.
Any other new business from any board member? If not, any new business from any, or open forum questions from any audience members? Yes, sir.
I was not going to say anything, but yeah, targeted station thing. James Bain, 96 Terrace Street. I'm just a teacher, so I'm not really familiar with the whole thing, but I would say just kind of processing it logically, it seems like given ADA compliance, it doesn't make sense to have 2 spots. You have to have 4 to make it worth it. And it seems like you're taking a very small lot, taking 4 spots, turning it into paid parking, you're kind of ruining a very already small lot. I would say probably scrap the entire idea. It doesn't seem like there's much room for error. I can guarantee you you're gonna have error. So that's just my thought on that matter. But I'm just.
We do no spots.
I agree that 4 might be too much. I don't know if we do 2 or nothing, but
It seems like 2 makes sense though.
thank you. Any other open forum questions or comments from? If not, board members, any other open forum questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. We are adjourned. Thank you.